What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Arrival Entertainment, and this is a video that I've been wanting to do for a while. I've been thinking about doing it for a while, and now I think is a good time for me to actually do it. As you guys know, and it pretty much goes without saying, I'm a big supporter of physical media. I prefer to watch my movies and my shows on physical media. The quality is much better in my opinion, and something that I've noticed in person a lot more people talking more about physical media and a lot more people getting back into physical media, meaning Blu-rays, 4Ks, and even DVDs. And that probably has to do with the news recently that HBO Max has gotten rid of a lot of stuff from their streaming platforms, and a lot of people are upset about that. We all know that Netflix, Hulu, Peacock, streaming services like that, they're constantly getting rid of stuff from their platforms, their contracts expire, and then it goes to another streaming platform. And I think people are starting to realize now that streaming services, while they're a little more convenient, they're not as reliable as people once thought they were. At least that's my opinion on it. And I have noticed in person that there's a lot more people taking an interest in the 4K format and taking an interest in 4K Blu-rays, which I think is awesome. So I thought I'd put this video out there for people who are thinking about getting into the 4K format or who are brand new to it and they don't know what to look for, what to get to it in terms of physical media wise. I thought I'd put my opinions out there of 4K Blu-rays that I think you should get for your collection if you've just started with 4Ks or you're thinking about getting into the 4K format yourself. A couple disclaimers before I get started. These are not in any particular order. I'm not going to be counting down from like 10, 9, 8, whatever it is. This isn't a ranking video, so the last one I mentioned is not the number one. The first one I mentioned isn't the least favorite or whatever it is. They're in no particular order. I literally just went through my collection and picked the 4K Blu-rays that I've seen, because I have a lot of 4K movies that I haven't seen yet. I picked the 4K movies that I've seen myself or demoed myself and decided that deserves to have a mention on this list. So just keep in mind there are tons of other 4Ks that probably look and sound amazing. I just haven't checked them out myself. These are just the movies from my collection that I've checked out that I think you guys definitely need to own for yours if you're getting into the 4K format. And one more disclaimer before I get started, I'm not going to be spending a whole lot of time on these because I picked out more than I anticipated for this, and they're not going to be reviews of the movies themselves. They're just going to be me talking about a little bit about the 4K transfers and how much you can get them for if you were to buy them on like Amazon or something like that. So with that being said, all disclaimers, intros out of the way, let's talk about the 4K Blu-rays that I own that I think you need to own for your collection. The first one I'm starting off with is one of my favorite superhero movies, and the 4K transfer did not disappoint in the slightest, and that's Logan on 4K. I was so impressed with this 4K transfer. It was done by 20th Century Fox before Disney took over, so that's a good sign right there. I'll talk a little bit about that later on, but this was done by 20th Century Fox because they owned the X-Men movies, and the 4K image on here just completely blew me away. I believe this was shot on film. I don't think this was digitally shot. I could be wrong about that, but either way, the 4K transfer looks incredible. I watched the Blu-ray a bunch of times, and watching the 4K visually, it was like I was watching it in the theater for the first time. This is the best the movie has ever looked, and the best that this movie has ever sounded. This has a 7.1 audio track from DTS, I think it is. Yeah, a DTS 7.1 track, and this is one of the best sounding 4Ks I've ever heard. I almost said seen. This is one of the best sounding 4Ks I've ever heard. It really gives your soundbar or your sound system, whatever you have, it's going to give it a really great workout. It comes with Logan Noir, which is also on 4K. I demoed that one a little bit. I didn't watch the whole thing, but even the black and white version looks incredible. A lot of the X-Men movies that are already on 4K, they do look really great too. So if you look for any of the X-Men movies on 4K, I would recommend those as well. But this is a definite yes. I put off buying this on 4K for a while, and I'm so glad I ended up picking it up. Right now, I think it's like $14.99 on Amazon, so it's not too expensive. You're probably not going to get the slipcover if you're a typical collector like I am, but if you're just looking for the movie itself, then $14.99 on Amazon, not too bad. Definitely recommend Logan on 4K. Next up on my list is another comic book movie, this time from DC, and that's Joker. Another one that just completely blew me away when I watched it. The picture quality on this is outstanding. The colors really pop. It's a really clear image. You do get that filmic look to it. It sounds incredible. It has a Dolby Atmos track. And I didn't think a movie like this would look as good as it did on 4K, but Warner Brothers did an amazing job with this. I haven't watched the movie on 4K since it first came out, but I do remember when I watched it, I was blown away visually and audio-wise, so it definitely had to make this list. It's on Amazon right now for like $22.99 or something like that, which isn't too bad. I would recommend spending that money to pick this up. That's a really good deal. So yeah, Joker on 4K. You can't go wrong with it. Now these next few I'm going to group together because they're part of the same franchise, and all four of them are just top-notch material. That's Toy Story, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, and Toy Story 4. I don't have the steelbook for Toy Story 4, but I have it for the other three. All four of these movies just... it was like I was watching him again for the first time. And I'm going to be saying that a lot, but that's how, in my opinion, I know something like this is truly worth it. When you have that feeling like you're watching it and experience it for the first time all over again. Like a lot of people my age, I grew up with the first two films. I've seen the third one a bunch of times, and I really, really loved the fourth one. So I know my shit when it comes to Toy Story. And I could not believe Disney put this much effort into their 4K transfers, because when it comes to Disney and 4K, they're very, very hit and miss. Even on Disney Plus, a lot of their 4K transfers don't look as good as they should be, but I took a chance when it came to the Toy Story films because, like I said, I love these films, and I'm so glad I did, because these are absolutely worth adding to your 4K collection. Right now on Amazon, they range from about, I think, 15 to 20 bucks or something like that. That's a pretty good price for all of them individually. I don't know if there's a 4K box set collection of them out there. I do know you can get them individually, but if you have the money for them, definitely get these on 4K. You are not going to be disappointed with them. Now, while we're on the subject of Disney, I'm sure people are going to want to know, what does Star Wars look like on 4K? Star Wars is a big franchise that I'm sure would look amazing on 4K. Well, they do to an extent. I went through all my 4Ks of Star Wars and I picked out 6 of them that I think are absolutely worth it to pick it up on 4K. Some of you 4K collectors out there watching this might disagree with it, but these are just my opinions. Welcome to my channel. So I think the Star Wars 4Ks that are absolutely worth it, no questions whatsoever, is the original trilogy and, surprisingly enough, the sequel trilogy. I think these 6 films look really great on 4K, especially A New Hope, because this was done by 20th Century Fox before Disney took over. So this is probably the best looking one of all the Star Wars films. Then I would probably, honestly, say The Last Jedi. I really loved how The Last Jedi looked. And then Rise of Skywalker, Force Awakens, and Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, they're kind of on the same boat. They look great. Really, really great. But in my opinion, I would say A New Hope and Last Jedi look the best on 4K. When it comes to the prequels, I was not really impressed with it. Those movies, since they are heavy on CGI effects, early CGI effects, I don't really hold up all that well all these years later. The 4K transfers didn't really help all that much with it. Revenge of the Sith is the only one that looks the best of the prequels, but not enough to make my list. Rogue One and Solo, they look fine, but I wasn't terribly impressed with it. These were the ones that, in my opinion, I was impressed with, and these are absolutely worth picking up in your collection. Obviously, the original trilogy was shot on film. Disney did some DNR work to make them look more sharper, more clear. They don't want that film grain look to it, which I would prefer, but it's whatever. For the work that they did, I think they did a good job with these. And with the sequel trilogy, they were shot digitally, and I think they look great on 4K. Right now, all the Star Wars films are about 20 bucks on Amazon. I think they're the same at Best Buy too. That's the standard price for Disney 4Ks. If you'd want to pick up all the Star Wars films on 4K, then I would say go ahead, but just know that the prequels, Rogue One and Solo, aren't great looking 4Ks, but these in particular are definitely worth that price point. For my next picks, we're back to the superhero genre, and I'm going to group these together as well because they are part of the same franchise, and that is the original Spider-Man trilogy starring Tobey Maguire, the Amazing Spider-Man movies with Andrew Garfield, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. These, I think, are the best looking Spider-Man 4Ks that are out there. The Tom Holland trilogy, No Way Home, Far From Home, and Homecoming, those look great on 4K too, but these ones in particular just blew me away and just had that wow factor, in my opinion. The original trilogy specifically, I absolutely loved how these movies looked. Similar to Toy Story, I grew up with these films, I've watched them constantly, and it's like I was watching these for the first time again. And I'm not even that big of a fan of the Andrew Garfield movies, especially Amazing Spider-Man 2. I really don't like that movie at all. But I'm not gonna lie, I was really impressed with how these movies looked visually and audio-wise. And Into the Spider-Verse is one of the best animated 4Ks that I've ever seen. It's right up there with Toy Story. It looks so crystal clear. The colors just pop off the screen. Audio-wise, it's just all over the place, but it's really great. So yeah, if you are a big Spider-Man fan, these are the 4Ks that I would definitely recommend. This set is unfortunately out of print, but there is a new trilogy set that's, I think, like $40 on Amazon. You're not gonna get all the good special feature discs or the nice artwork booklet set here, but if you're just looking for the movies themselves, then you're gonna have to go with that new set. This, I think, is still in print. It's like $35 on Amazon, this nice booklet set. But similar to the original trilogy, there is a standalone set out there with just the 4K discs and no special features or anything like that. And you can still get Into the Spider-Verse on 4K for like $16.99 or something like that. This slipcover, if you're wondering about it, is out of print, so you probably can't get that. You're probably just gonna get like the standard 4K version like this. But nevertheless, if you're gonna get Spider-Man on 4K, definitely get those. And it is worth mentioning, the Tom Holland movies, they're worth getting on 4K as well. It's just that in my opinion, like I said, they didn't have that wow factor. Those movies definitely had that wow factor. The next one I'm gonna mention actually has two different types of 4K releases, but I think both of them are definitely worth it for your collection. That is Halloween on 4K, this release from Lionsgate, and the new Scream Factory version. Well, new meaning it came out last year. But both of these have different 4K transfers, but I think both of them are definitely worth it. This release was the first release that came out in 2018 before the 2018 Halloween film came out. It was mastered through the old Blu-ray master that was done, I think, almost 10 years before this release came out. So you could say this is a little bit of a dated release, but I was impressed with how good they made this 4K transfer look. Some scenes do look pretty dark, I will give it that, and there are times where the coolness of the image does overshadow it. But in my opinion, it was very effective, and I'm really happy I got this release. And then when it came to the Scream Factory version, I said to myself, what is it, the same transfer as this? How could they top it? But they ended up topping this. The color timing, I think, looks a little bit better than this version, and you get a whole bunch of great extras in here. The sound is great on both of them. So it was a tough decision putting which one of these on here, but in the end, I just said to myself, you know what? Who cares? It's my list. I can put them both on here. If I had to pick the better one, I would probably say Scream Factory, but I just can't not recommend this one. This one did really impress me, and I loved how it looked and sounded. Both of them right now are like $22, $23 right now on Amazon, so you're gonna spend the same amount of money for both of these. If you bought this back when it came out, it was only like $15, and this was like $30 when it came out. So not bad prices for both of these. I just have a tough time recommending which ones. If I had to, I'd probably, like I said, the Scream Factory one, but I still would definitely recommend this version too. So that's Halloween on 4K. And the new ones from Scream Factory, I think Halloween 2, 3, 4, and 5 that came out last year, those are worth getting as well. And I'm excited for Halloween 6, H2O, and Resurrection to come out on 4K this year. Those are probably going to be worth it as well. Next up, let's talk about some James Bond with No Time to Die. I loved how this movie looked. All the Daniel Craig films are on 4K, and all of them are worth getting, but this is the king of Daniel Craig 4K releases, in my opinion. I saw this in IMAX, and even though the 4K release doesn't have the IMAX image, the picture quality wise looked just as great as it did when I saw it in IMAX. The sound is loud, bombastic. Oh man, I loved it so much. I watched it when it came out, and I wanted to watch it right after that again, even though I didn't because it's a long movie. And yeah, like, like I said, the other Daniel Craig films on 4K, they look really great too, so I was expecting the same as this, but this one, in my opinion, just blew the other ones out of the water. This is a visually gorgeous movie to look at, and the 4K transfer really did wonders with this. It's similar to Halloween. I think it's like $22.99 on sale right now on Amazon, but you still can get it at Walmart and Best Buy, I think, for about the same price. Definitely worth picking up on 4K. If you're a James Bond fan, even if you're not a James Bond fan and you are looking to get into this franchise or just looking, like I said, for a great visual looking 4K, this is one of the best ones that came out last year, in my opinion. And we're back to the superhero genre for the very last time, and that we have Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm so glad this came out on 4K because a lot of people were wondering when this came out if it was either going to come out on 4K or not because it was an HBO Max exclusive. But in late September, we finally got the 4K release in the US, and this looks incredible. This looks so much better than it did on HBO Max. Even though the movie has a bit of a desaturated look throughout the film, the colors in the film still pop off the screen. It's so great. It looks so clear. You do still get the black bars on the side of the screens. That's the IMAX aspect ratio for the film. I would say just don't mess with that. People have zoomed into it, and I've seen screenshots of it, and it just looks worse. Just leave the black bars as it is. You get used to it after a while, but visually, this is an absolute no-brainer on 4K. The audio on this disc is not going to disappoint as well. I loved how this movie sounded. This is an overall no-brainer for the superhero genre. It's a long movie, but definitely worth it for the visuals and the audio sound, and the movie itself is really great too. Right now it's like $20 on Amazon. You can still get it at Walmart and Best Buy too. But yeah, if you've just been watching this on HBO Max and you want to pick this up on 4K if you haven't yet, definitely get the 4K. I'm not sure how the Blu-ray looks. I haven't checked out the standard Blu-ray yet, but oh man, definitely get it on 4K. It looks tons better than it ever would. The next one is actually the very first 4K movie that I ever picked up when I've upgraded to the format back in 2018, and that's Mad Max Fury Road. Oh my gosh, this movie just, this movie's nuts. This movie's bonkers. Visually, it's gorgeous. Audio-wise, it's big and bombastic. This is what you would want to see on a 4K disc, in my opinion, even though I think the movie is an upscale on 4K. I've heard some people say it is a 4K upscale, but in my opinion, it's one of the better ones. There are so many saturated colors in this film that just leap off the screen. It's kind of funny. Zack Snyder's Justice League has kind of like desaturated colors, and now I go to the next one, which has a lot of saturated colors. But another one that just has great sound, great visual imagery. It's gorgeous to look at and to listen to. Right now you can get this on Amazon for $22.99. You can get the other Mad Max movies on 4Ks too for around the same price, I think. The other ones are really great too, but I had to mention this one because of how great the imagery is and how great the action is. It's like big and over the top, and the 4K really does wonders for that. So that's Mad Max Fury Road. This next one I can't see a lot of rewatchability factor for your average person, but this film is a classic nevertheless, and it deserves a spot on my list, and that's 2001: A Space Odyssey. I waited until the 4K came out to check this out because I had the Blu-ray for a while now, and I was gonna watch it, but then I heard there might be a 4K release, and I was like, maybe I should wait for the 4K release. And oh my gosh, I'm so glad I waited for the 4K to come out. This film came out in 1968, and this 4K transfer made it look and sound like it was shot yesterday. Words just can't describe how great this looks and how absolutely worth it it definitely is for your collection. It was shot on film. You get that film grain look to it. The colors just leap off the screen. The audio just is so immersive. I was so happy with how this looked on 4K. All the Stanley Kubrick 4Ks that have been out so far, they all look great, but this is absolutely the best one in my opinion. You can get this for like $22.99 right now. Like I said, may not be a big rewatchability movie for a lot of average people, but definitely go with this one if you're upgrading to 4K. You are not going to be disappointed. Next one I actually just watched recently on 4K, and I was so impressed with Robocop on 4K. I didn't think this movie was going to look as good as it did. Even though Arrow Video, they do a good job with their 4K transfers. I've seen a few of them now, and they've all looked great. But I was curious how this was going to look on 4K, and it did not disappoint me. I was really happy with how the film grain looked on here. The colors looked really nice. It looked like a film on 4K. And I know that's kind of like, well, no duh, it's a film on 4K, but it's one of those ones where you need to see it to fully understand it and to fully appreciate it. You can still get this big collection set at like Barnes & Noble, or it's still available on Amazon or stuff like that, but it is pretty pricey. I think it's like 45 bucks or something like that. You can, however, get a standard 4K disc like this. I'm not sure how much that's going right now, but it's much cheaper than this big box set. I ended up getting this on sale, that's why I still have it. Either way, whatever version you go with, there's also a steelbook out there, but whatever version you go with, you are not going to go wrong with Robocop on 4K. This is a great 80s movie that got a great 4K transfer, and it's definitely worth it. Next, we have one of the best films ever, in my opinion, Jaws. I was so excited when I heard this was getting a 4K release. I watched it as soon as I got home with it, and similar to a lot of these other movies on here, it was like I was watching the film for the first time all over again. The colors in this transfer look incredible. The sound is very immersive. Jaws has had a really great run on physical media for when it came to VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and now 4K, but the 4K is the definite way to go if you haven't upgraded to 4K yet. You need to upgrade to 4K, and you need to get Jaws immediately. You can get the 4K on Amazon right now for about 20 bucks. That's a really great price. Trust me when I say this is one of the best 4K transfers I've ever seen. It's the best the film has ever looked. And who doesn't like Jaws? I mean, it's a classic for a reason. So yeah, definitely get this on 4K if you haven't upgraded it yet. I know I keep saying you're not going to be disappointed with it, but there's really not much more I can say without just showing you. And it's hard to show you on camera because it's something you need to see to believe. So yeah, when it comes to Jaws, don't think twice about it. Just get it right now. And lastly, for this video, I picked these out because I watched these recently on 4K again, and I just can't get over how great of a job they did with this transfer, and that is the Indiana Jones collection. Now, I picked up the Best Buy exclusive steelbook set, but there are other options you can get with this on 4K. Similar to Jaws, these are the best the movies have ever looked. They have that film grain look to it. The colors just really leap off the screen, especially with Crystal Skull. Now, I know Crystal Skull is not the best Indiana Jones movie. It's the worst Indiana Jones movie, but I am so happy to say they fixed the color timing in Crystal Skull. Crystal Skull looked very bright, very artificial, saturated, and it just looked unnatural. With this 4K release, they went back and they recolor timed it to make it more in line with the original 3, and I couldn't believe it when I saw it. It looks great now. It doesn't look as artificial. It's not like blinding your eyes with how bright and saturated it looks more natural, and I was really impressed with that. The other 3 films, I had no problems. I had no doubts with that they were going to do a bad job with it. They did an amazing job with it, especially Last Crusade. Last Crusade, like, I loved how it looked on 4K. It's my favorite Indiana Jones movie, and they did a top-notch job with all 3 of them. I'm not sure if this steelbook set is still available, but I do know there's a standard 4K set that you can get for like 60 bucks on Amazon and eBay. There's also new individual steelbooks that they're releasing. So there's multiple options that you can get this on 4K with. And when Indiana Jones 5 comes out next year, I'm sure we're gonna get like regular slipcover versions as well. But whatever you decide to go with, just know Indiana Jones on 4K, all 4 movies, incredible. Definitely worth it if you haven't got them already. So that's it, guys. Those are some 4K movies in my collection that I think you need to get on 4K if you're upgrading to the 4K format. There's more. I could have picked 2, but this video would take forever if I just went through every single one of them that I think you need to get. So there's definitely more. I could easily do a part 2 video for this, but for right now, those are the ones that I was like, yes, that's an absolute yes. If I had to tell someone to go buy it on 4K right now, those would be the ones. So just like always, let me know your thoughts and opinions on all these 4K films down in the comment section below. And if you haven't upgraded to the 4K format yet and you're thinking about it, let me know if this video was helpful. If it was, I'll definitely do a part 2 for it. And just like always, guys, thank you again so much for watching. I got more videos planned very soon, so look forward to all that. Thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like and share it. Subscribe right here if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, take care.